Can you hear me properly? Okay. Yeah. Okay. The good news for me here is right now is I use cable instead of Wi-Fi for the internet, because I asked my my sister and brothers set up the cable for me direct to my computer. So unless the router is down, I won't have any more internet. But from now on, we're more stable. Yeah. So dear Thay, dear Sangha, today is the 6th June 2021, and this is our monthly Dharma talk. So we have we haven't started since last year until now, right? So this is like first Dharma talk, first monthly Dharma talk. And you know, when Will sent me the list of the activity, the schedule, I thought of myself, can we survive? We have activity every weekend. And can you imagine that I retype it, and I make a list, and I send to my sisters to let them know that this is my my schedule, online schedule. And they're so shocked. They say, why is so many? Because I still have the Australia Sangha also on Friday. So some week, 2 weeks in a month, I have 3 activities, like Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. And they wonder, say, how come it's so many? I told, I know, but right now I deep in love with them. So what can I do? So you know, when there is the need, and also I cannot help to not to be there when they're so energetic and love to practice. And it draw me into the schedule easily, and I feel very happy instead. Very happy that I see everybody so diligent and full of energy to you know, to go along with each other. For the title or the you know, or my Dharma talk, so I have this month I have 2, one today and one on the day of mindfulness, and another 3 also. And I thought, you know, what can I share in these Dharma talks, and somehow from my heart I say that, you know, I ask myself, how can I move on with my practice, and you know, and what give me so much energy, so much enthusiasm to practice, to get engaged into the activity with the Sangha, and it's really from my heart that is our teacher. As you know, somehow when you do something, when you do things for people you love, you have so much energy to do. And So that's why I said that, oh, why don't we talk about the teacher? The first talk is about the teacher and the path, because without the teacher and the path, we won't be together. And sometimes we forget how deep gratitude that we have for our teacher. And we usually forget about it. And you know, in Thailand right now, we have Thai's hut. And can you imagine, even Thai is not here. But whenever I come inside Thai's room, I still feel his energy. I could see how the posture of lying down, and you know, when he looked at his students, his disciples, basically it's just his presence and energy in the room, and I feel so warm, and I feel, you know, like he gave me so much energy, and also take away all my my afflictions away. So I thought, why don't we talk about it today? You know, just like in the past, when the Venerable Sariputra and Moggallana, they were close friends, respected for their intelligence and open-mindedness. And they had promised each other that that whoever attend the Great Way first would immediately inform the other. And the story how the Venerable Sariputra met the Venerable Asaji for the first time is really impressed me so much. How one is so eager to find a teacher, to know the path and to know the practice. So it moves me so much. So the story is from Old Pathway Cloud. I wrote that one day Sariputra saw the bhikkhu Asaji begging for food, and he was immediately drawn by Asaji's relaxed and serene bearing. Sariputra thought to himself, this appears to be someone who has attended the way. And I knew such person would, you know, could be found. I will ask him who his teachers is and what his teachings is. So the Venerable Sariputra quickened his pace to catch up the Asaji, but he stopped himself, not wanting to stop the bhikkhu while he was silently begging from house to house. And Sariputra resolved on the course to wait until the Venerable Asaji was finished begging before approaching to him. And without making himself notice, Sariputra followed the Venerable Asaji. And when the Venerable Asaji's bowl was filled with the offerings and he turned to leave the city, and Sariputra joined his palm in respectful way and greet and said, "Monk, you radiate such peace and calm. Your virtue and understanding shine the way you walk, in the expression on your face and in your every gesture. Please allow me to ask who your teacher is and at what practice center you reside and what method does your teachers teach?" And Asaji looked at Sariputra for a moment and then smiled. And in a very friendly manner, he answered, "I study practice under the guidance of the Master Gotama of Shakya clan, who is known as a Buddha. And he's presently drowned near Supatita temple in the Palm forest." And Sariputra's eyes brightened. "What he's teaching? Can you share it with me?" The Buddha's teaching is deep and lovely. I have not grasped it fully yet. You should come and receive the teaching directly from the Buddha. But the Venerable Sariputra implored, the Venerable Asaji, please, can you share with me even a few words of the Buddha's teaching? It will be so precious to me. I will come for more teaching later. And the Venerable Asaji smiled and then recite the short gatha. From interdependent origins, all things arise and all things pass away. So teaches the perfect enlightened one. And Sariputra suddenly felt his heart open as though it was being flooded by a bright light. A flawless glimpse of true teaching flashed before him. He bowed to the Venerable Asaji and quickly ran to seek his friend Moggallana. And when Moggallana saw Sariputra radiant face, and he asked, my brother, what has made you so happy? Can you have found the true path? Please tell me. Brother, Sariputra related to what just happened when he recited the Gatha for the Moggallana to hear. Moggallana also felt a sudden flash of light illuminate his heart and mind. Suddenly he saw the universe as an interconnectedness. This was because that was. This arose because that arose. This was not because that was not. This passed away because that passed away. And the belief in the creator of all things vanished in this understanding of dependent co-arising. He's now understood how one could cut through the endless cycle of birth and death. The door of liberation opened before him. And Moggallana said, brother, we must go to the Buddha at once. He is the teacher we have been waiting for. Can you imagine that, just like us, when we're looking for a teacher, and when we really feel that this is our teacher, how happy we were when we know that he is a teacher. It seems like it's happened to me too also. I saw Thầy in the interview on TV long time before even I didn't know Buddhism. And the impression that I got from him was a brow rope. I said, how come he's so simple? And that's all I know about him. I didn't really know his name, even though he's very famous, but I didn't know at all. And then later, when I decided to become monastic, even though in Australia we have many temples and many teachers, even I received the 5 mindfulness training from one of the venerables there. But somehow in my heart, I say that this is not my teacher. He is not my teacher. Somehow the teacher that your heart can let you know. It's not from your intellectual minds tell you this is my teacher. It's not. My heart told me that he's not my teacher. Until I participated the 2 days of mindfulness with the brothers and sisters, came back to Australia and opened the day of mindfulness there. And when I read the sutra that Thầy revised and edited, and immediately my heart told me that this is my teacher. Even I didn't know Plum Village words, and I didn't know his name or how he is, and what his teaching is. But when I just read the sutra, you know, is not in Chinese, it's not in Vietnamese Chinese, even it's not English. It's just like a very, very pure Vietnamese. And I just, my heart told me that this is my teacher. And I was so happy that I found my teacher, you know, from my heart. You know, somehow it's just like when you saw somebody and you fell in love, it's like your heart tells you that this is the person that you will be, you want to be. So when, for my case, that, you know, when I just read the sutra that I translated from Chinese, immediately I knew that this is my teacher. And I asked my mom to come to France to be ordained, but it's so weird that everybody say, are you brainwashed? Because you right now you're working, you have a good life. Why you wanted to become a nun? Maybe when you go to the mindfulness, somebody force you, or you know, wash your brain or something. And I didn't say anything, and my mom kept crying and crying. And I said, okay, I'm not going, because I know that my mother has a high blood pressure, so I didn't dare to push too much. So I just pretended to say, okay, I'm not going. And then next month, a month later, I asked permission again. And my mom got mad at me. And then I stopped, and then a month later, I escaped from home, so I came to France without asking permission. Because I couldn't stay home anymore. I know that this was my teacher, and this is a life that I want to live. But somehow my sense, my direct sense said that if I leave home now, my mom will be, would be okay. And even though that she shocked and she had to take the medicine, otherwise she has a stroke, but she was okay. So when I came to France, the first person I met was Sister Chen Kong, and she offered me instant noodles. And she told me that, instant noodle in Plum Village is different from your home. It's a lot, this instant noodles is full of love and happiness in there. And I didn't know that what's the difference. Because it's a long trip. It took 2 days from Australia to Europe, but I was so happy that I came. And the first time I met Thầy, he just sit there and looked at me. And he asked me, "You ran away from home?" And he asked, "Are you run away from home?" I said, "Yeah, Thầy. Otherwise I cannot be here." But he, somehow from my heart, when I just looked at him, I knew that I found my teacher. And few years later, when I was his attendant, I asked him, say, "Hey, can I be your disciple next life?" And you know what he told me? He told me that, but you have to come to the temple and be a nun or a monastic earlier. Don't stay out there too long. He want me just like a baby monk or baby nun or somehow. because when I ordained, I was 26. I'm still young, but he said, you stay out there too long. You know, but I believe that, you know, the teacher and disciple relationship as somehow we made in a previous life. You know, like all of us, when we met your teacher, it doesn't have to be Thai. It's anyone that, you know, can show you the way out of your difficulties or improve your life, your quality of life, can be considered as your teacher. And for me, that you know, Thai was my my lovely teacher, and always be. And you know, even now he's not with us in Thailand anymore. And I just asked how his health right now, and Sister Luong Nghiem told me that his health not very good but stable, you know, but he could not eat normally, you know, so he need to have you know, liquid food. But his mind very clear. His mind very clear and very sharp. And can you imagine that he's been, you know, been sick for 7 years from now, but his mind and his sharp eyes is still there. It's really nice. And I know that for each one of you, you have found your own teacher that, you know, your heart told you who is your teacher. I suggest that from tonight you can write a love letter to your teacher, how you met him and how your heart felt when you met him for the first time, and what he has helped you when you encounter his presence in your life. You know, this is very nourishing. If we can do that, and everyone has that a great fortune that we can find a teacher. And of course that we cannot I know that in our gathering tonight, it's maybe you're not all Buddhist, but yeah, somehow you can consider the teacher that you love the most. But I would like to share a little bit about the Buddha and how Thais describe or understood who is the Buddha, who the Buddha is. So Will can play a short video clip that Thai described the Buddha.
When you think of the Buddha, you think of the young man who was born in Kapilavastu, who practiced many years in the forest, and who went around India to give the teaching. But that is only a portion of the Buddha. Because the moment when the Buddha began to build a Sangha, he began to transfer himself to the Sangha. And many disciples, monastic like lay, they continue the Buddha. And you have to see the Buddha in the Sangha. You have to be able to see the Buddha in the Dharma. And if you have not seen the Dharma and the Sangha, you have not seen the Buddha. And the Dharma is available in the here and the now. The Sangha is also available in the here and the now. You do not have to go to India in order to see the Buddha. If we believe that Buddha is a God, they can bestow on us the things we want, then that is not the Buddha. The Buddha is a human being who has a deep capacity of understanding and of loving. And having Mahakaruna, great compassion, Maitri, great love, Mahaprajna, great understanding, he can perform miracles. Understanding people is a miracle. And it is described that the Buddha is one who understands the world well. Lokavidu, it means understanding the world. And because he understands the world deeply, and that is why he can offer the kind of teaching that can help heal the world. And the miracle of understanding and the miracle of teaching are very important miracles that the Buddha can perform. When you give a teaching that can transform people who hear you, that is a miracle. The Buddha described it as the greatest miracles of all miracles. And there are disciples of the Buddha who were capable of doing that during the time of the Buddha. They could already continue the Buddha in the time of the Buddha. And in our time, there are those of us who can do the same by their practice, by their teaching. They can heal people, they can help people liberate themselves from their suffering. So the miracle continues. When you think of the Buddha,
Do you love it? Now, when I listen to this short video clip from Thay, and I can feel the Buddha in me, because he said that the Buddha in the Dharma and the Sangha, and the main point is the Buddha was a human being. And the way he described that, understand people and help them to transform the suffering, he performed, miracle. Do you think you can perform the miracle also? Yeah, just like Sister Trish, she did all the time. She does it all the time. She has been there and helping people and sharing her energy and her time and help them to transform, their suffering. She has, she performs miracle also, and I think that all of us, can do that too. And in the sutra, before you chant the sutra, we usually chant is Namo Tassa Bhagavato Arahato Sama Sambuddhassa. So it's just like say that homage to the worthy one, the blessed one, and the right self-awakened one. When we just when we follow a teacher, we must know that whatever he teaches us was his own experience, and this is what he went through and know it well. When we just chant like this, we really know that we follow the true person, the real person with the real wisdom. Just like when he got fully enlightened and he came back to help the 5 brothers who practice asceticism with him, he said, "I found the path." And everybody just didn't believe him, but just look at the way he was. They drawn to him and pay respect to him. And he said that, and before I never said like this, but now I realize the path, you know. So as Thầy described the Buddha is the awakened one, the awakened person. We have to know that when we describe the Buddha as he was a person, but he was an awakened person, you know. So it means that we are person, we have human people, but we have him a human, and he was a human also. So he said that the awakened person sees the nature of life and the cosmos. So an awakened person is not bound by illusion, fear, anger, or desire. The awakened person is a free person, filled with peace and joy, love and understanding. So Master Gautama, our teacher, is the completely awakened person. He shows us the way in this life so that we may overcome forgetfulness and become awakened ourselves. And every one of us contains Buddha nature. We can all become a Buddha. Buddha nature is the capacity to awaken, to transcend all ignorance. So when we read this, it means that, you know, it gives us the sense that we practice according to the Buddha teaching, which is fully realized, and this is it's not a notion. This is a real experience, and it's real wisdom that the Buddha experienced and realized. So, you know, when we follow the teacher, that it has a real wisdom like that, we feel very safe. And it gives us hope that he said that every human being has the Buddha nature in us. So it means that we have to believe that we have capacity to be free. We have to believe that we can be awakened, we can be an awakened person. And we can be free from suffering. So this message is telling us that, you know, we know that the Buddha was a human being, and he has a fully enlightened, and all his teaching is a real wisdom. So and he said that I just a doctor, a king of the medicines. I just give you medicine. Take it or not depends on you. I'm not forcing you. So, you know, when you just see the teachers like this, you encounter a teacher like that, you feel safe, we feel confident, and we will, you gain faith on the path that, oh, somebody done it, so he just show us the way. But the rest, for you follow the way or not, it depends on us. It depends on us. He didn't force us to do. He didn't force us to practice. But he said, oh, my child, this is I experienced. This is what I realized. I show you. So you come and see directly yourself. You realize yourself. No forcing, no, So that's why the practice of mindfulness is kind of volunteering, that you volunteer yourself to practice. No one can force you to practice. So this is the freedom that you can get from the mindfulness practice. And just like our teacher, the more from now, after more than 20 years, I'm practiced according to the Thai teaching. be honest that before I just follow without feeling too much, and I just believe in myself that this is how he taught me, and I know that he is my teacher. But I to felt and to realize his real wisdom by myself, until now I could, like it took me more than 20 years to feel that. I'm not I'm not like a venerable Sariputra that it's just for a short gatha, and he realized, he said, oh, it's a flash of light illuminated his heart, this mind. We're not like that. I'm not like that. It took me more than 20 years that I can feel his teaching deeply in my heart. Like when I listened to Thay's talk, like in 1994 until 1997, I could feel his teaching really deep, in a very deep level. It seems like it's in my vein, it is my blood, and it's in every cell of my body. Even though everybody said that it's a very very, very old Dharma talk. But for me, when I listen to it right now, I think that I can understand it in a deeper level, and I can feel it. Sometimes when we learn the practice, we learn in the intellectual way, we not really feel in our heart. So but somehow we believe that this is a real wisdom, this is a real practice that has already realized and teaching us. And for me, that like I was I am very fortunate that I still here for many years in the Sangha, in order to feel Thầy teaching from the beginning in myself. So it means that gaining faith on the practice, on the teacher, it really needs a lot of time. And for me, that I just keep doing it without confusion, without questioning, without question myself so many. It's too much, and it's training myself to become my habit. And when I until this point, that somehow whenever I listen to say Dharma talk, I have goosebumps. Somehow I have goosebumps that I really feel it inside of me. So it means that even though that you know that your teacher, but it really need your diligence to practice, to train yourself in time, like long time. And his teaching, his wisdom changing after a period of time. So if we can practice, and we can see that even though that he didn't grasp his wisdom, he didn't grasp his hold firmly on his understanding, so he always been open-minded himself and learning, experience the life around him, and his wisdom become greater and greater. And I'm not sure that you watched the interview with Oprah Winfrey. you can feel that his present wisdom, the way he taught in the Dharma Talk, before he got a stroke, is different from 30 years ago. So his wisdom always, become greater after time. So for the teacher, first is our very root spiritual teacher was the Buddha, and our present lifetime spiritual teacher is our teacher Thầy, and also our other teacher that like in your religion. It doesn't have to be the Buddha, it doesn't have to be Thầy, because mindfulness practice doesn't have to come from Thầy. It can come from any teacher that you really felt in your heart, and your heart said that this is your teacher, and you follow his practice, his teaching. If you can take some time in a day, you return to your teacher and feel his presence in your heart. It's really nourishing, and also his presence and energy can help you to release your afflictions a lot, just by thinking of him and feel him in your heart, and that's enough. For me, that if you have faith, a great faith in your teacher, that's enough. That's enough that can just like you have the light in the dark that you can follow. And for me, that whenever I fell down, I feel really down in my life, I always sit still and recall all the good memories that I had with Thầy. When he was holding my hand in the walking meditation, only me and him in his hut. Somehow he held my hands like this, and sometimes time to time he squeezed my hands, and he looked at me, and he smiled. He said that I know you're here with me. It's just somehow it's really sweet. Just two of us. He was holding my hand and say, I know you're here with me. I just like that. Somehow his peace, his sweetness warm up my heart when my heart full of clouds. So good memories with our teacher can clear the cloudy heart, cloudy mind in us. So that's why I said that to have a teacher in our heart is so important. We have our faith is never die, and it gives us a light in the darkness sometime in our during our lifetime. Whatever he taught us is just like I still remember a children's story when you have the oil lamp with the cloth. When your mother say don't touch the cloth, it's hot, but we never listen. It looks so nice, so you just still wanted to touch the cover, the cloth. So it's hot and you got burned, and so you experience yourself. But somehow, whenever I read the sutra, when or Thay's book, I could feel that, why the Buddha is so sweet, you know, even in the sutras. And I said, why he's so sweet? He's so compassionate, and he's somehow is very straightforward and very tough also. But most of the time, most of the sutras I've been reading, I could feel, I say, why you are so sweet. The path that we're talking about here is about the Dharma. The Dharma is the path that leads to awakening. It is the path which the Buddha teaches, the path that will help us to transcend the prisons of ignorance, anger, fear, and desire. And this path leads to freedom, peace, and joy. It enables us to love and understand all others. Understanding and love are the two most beautiful fruits of the path of awakening. When today, when I listened to David's guided sitting, it brought me a smile on my face, because I can feel his wisdom and his guidance. This is the first time that I could hear somebody took a very simple, very basic guided sitting text of Plum Village to that transform into the present situation of the society. And this is his own wisdom. Somehow the path that we learn is we have to, for me, that I have to change it in the way that I could feel, is the way that I can understand. So it's that the people come to Plum Village, people that only just whatever he say, very high or very high level of teaching, but the bottom line, he said, just breathe and smile, right? That is a very two keys of Plum Village tradition: breathe and smile. And everybody say, I breathe and smile, but my suffering is still there. So what can I do? And you have to know that when you breathe, just follow your breathing and smile. It's telling us, this is two keys, important keys, telling us that when you breathe, it means that whatever happened to us, we just return to ourselves by following our breath. And the practice is just the Buddha taught that you have to return to yourself in the present moment. And the best way to doing that is just follow your breath, your in breath and your out breath. So stop acting when you have emotion. Just rest when you have time. Just if you want to look deeply, just breathe and look deeply. So breathe. The breath is just the key, that it's just like it give us the key to open many doors that we can see ourselves and heal ourselves. So when we have emotion, when we in deep grief or in deep suffering, you just close your eyes and breathe and be present. That's all you need. It's a practice of stopping. Just be there for you, and the path is so simple and it's so clear that for us that the path of love, understanding is, or get in touch with life in the, it's just like you have to just be present in the here and the now, right? So the breath, you cannot stop breathing, right? And the breath is just the safe place that we can return to ourselves. And somehow then, for me, that when I suffer so much, but a smile on my face is mean that you smile at yourself, right? You smile to the difficulties that you're facing, that you don't get caught in it, you don't get drowned in your suffering. And so you have capacity to be still, to be fresh, to be there for your suffering or your difficulties and your problems. It's just like, I know that even though that we have enough space right now, even the COVID-19 is there, but that suffering is over the place on the earth, globally. And we are a lucky or fortunate people, and millions of people still suffering out there, so this is the path that we it's not like you suffer and then the path take you away, take all the suffering away from you. It's not like that. The path doesn't have that capacity. The path is here is give you the tools that to deal with the current situation that you're facing. So it's your suffering, your sorrows, your anxiety is still there, but you still be yourself. You still be there, you still have capacity to stay still and face the difficulties in your sorrow. That is the Dharma is about. And stay in the present moment. So it's give us the tool, just like when you want to open the door, you need a locked door, or you need the key. So that is the, even so you want to open the door, you need to have the key to open it. That is the teaching. That is the mindful breathing. That is the mindful walking. That is the silence. You need to train ourselves. So you have to see that this is a path that it doesn't matter what happened to us. Even though that for me, for each of us, still still facing a lot of matters that we probably don't like it. We like to come with people, we like to be free, and we don't like, we like to meet the lovely people, but difficult people always come to us, and what can you do about it? But no worries, I know how to deal with them and how to take care of myself. That you know how to take care of yourself when you're facing difficulties and suffering. So it's Thầy said that the Dharma is the path that leads to the awakening, the path that helps us to transcend the prison of ignorance, anger, fear, and desire. So it means that if we don't train ourselves, or we don't practice according to the teaching, just like return to your breathing and be still, and just merely recognize whatever happening in your inside of you, It doesn't mean that all the ignorance and anger and fear and desire disappear, right? They are still there. But the thing is, you be present for them, to be friend with them. We don't create a battlefield in us with them. So by using our mindful breathing and being still, we just recognize them, embrace them, and just be there. You have, when you recognize that when they arise in you, and the time they stay with you and the time they fade away. So it means that you need that's why we need the tools and the tools to just stay still with them. Even though you have faith, we have confidence on the practice, but we still have the keys, the tools to endure with tough things like your fear, your anger, your desires is really it's hard to handle. So of course that how to deal with this is relate to our next Dharma talk, because in each of us we have power, and the Buddha call it as 5 spiritual power, and each of us has it. So we need this power to stay with these tough things like anger and fear and desires. So I think that when we be patient with ourselves, we can and try, be diligent with our practice, we sure that we can be free. The thing is, do you have that confidence? So it's related to the next Dharma talk. So it's for me that to deal with our anger, with our fear, with our desire, and our dissatisfaction in life, is our grief, our anxiety, and it's very tough. It's so tough. It's so tough and so hard to deal with. But it doesn't mean that we cannot handle it, right? It doesn't mean that you cannot find peace and joy in ourselves during the hard time. That is the advance, and this is the effect of the path, the Dharma, the path that we're following right now. So this, I'm not sure that how you've been practicing, but for me that there's a few times I wanted to withdraw myself, just I don't want to get in touch with anybody, just in my community here, because my heart's broken. Can you imagine? I'm still have heartbroken, but somehow I feel disappointed. I felt heartbroken, and I want to withdraw, but I changed my thinking, that my contemplation, that this is my chance to test the Dharma. This is the mud, that my responsibility, that I have to use this mud so I can nourish my lotus. And this is, and when I realized that, I give me so much joy, even though I'm still heartbroken, but I feel joy when I'm doing it, because I know that there will be a better understanding and a greater love in me, so I can transcend all these kind of afflictions in me. So it gave me, I said, if I try my best to overcome this hard time, or this matter, first of all, I will have my real experience, how I deal with my anger and my fear. So anybody later ask me, so I have real experience that I can share with them. That is the first advantage, the benefit, first benefit that give me so much courage to try my best. And the second thing is, the second benefit, if I keep trying, practicing, I know that I can taste the Dharma, a real Dharma, that this is the path that I'm following. This is the path that I'm living. I live with my life. So when I give myself a chance to practice, the third benefit was I gain my faith. I strengthen my faith in the practice. This is how I always train myself to see this hard time is a chance for me to strengthen my faith. And I always, at the end of my striving, I always felt so grateful. I'm telling you, that's why I'm still surviving until now. I am still survived, and I'm still very happy on the path. And I'm so, I have great gratitude to the Buddha, to Thay, to the Sangha, and especially on the path that I'm taking right now. So I always allow myself to try my best. Just like I allow myself to love a person, it's hard to love. I allow myself to take responsibility, which is so hard to handle. And I allow myself to always come out of my comfort zone. You know. Do you know, Will, if I follow all the schedule that you give me, that is, I come out of my comfort zone, you know. Because I still have hundreds of brothers and sisters here to take care. I have to follow the daily schedule. I have all the kind of meetings that I have to participate. I have to have all the classes that I have to teach. But the thing is, I allow myself to do it. I'm not afraid. And I know that I will have, you know, a good connection with you. I will have a chance to meet all wonderful people, even just online. And I know that, you know, whatever I share with you, maybe it helped you a little bit in your life. And this is just all the benefits that I can gain. And so that's why I see that, wow, why I have to withdraw myself? Why I'm so afraid doing things? Because I can, you know, I can benefit so many things in there. And you know, just think of like that. It take away all my clouds in my heart also, because I know that this is the path, this is my life I want to live. And I know that the clouds in my heart, the clouds in my head or my soul, they will disappear and replace with the wholesome things in me. And I just see that the path that I'm taking right now, it's just I just feel like I'm a luckiest person on earth that I can have, that I can encounter in this lifetime. So this is how we see that we're very sure that the path we're taking is the right path. And Thầy always say that there is no worries because I have the path to take. That's enough to make us happy, you know. And you know, just by looking around, I invite everyone to open, you know, to look around your friends right now in this moment. Can you see everybody's eyes with you know, joy? You know, don't you see that our Sangha is a great, consists of all great people? Yeah. So that's why, you know, just look around. And especially today we have all Asian Sanghas. I feel so happy, you know. And it's just, for me, I don't know, maybe I have done something good in my past. So now I encounter so many good friends. I just give me a sense of joy and you know, the happiness that is why I'm so lucky. Do you feel the same? Do you feel that you're lucky? Yeah. So that's why, you know, when you you know, you have to give yourself time to really recall all the you know, condition of happiness that we have in right now. So somehow in our daily life, we just focus on the different, you know, the problems only. We not really see that we have good friends around. We have good people that always there and, you know, try the best to practice, try the best to improve their life. Of course, when you read the news, is, you know, I have heartbroken when I just look at the COVID-19 in India. Now, even right now in Vietnam, they have so many new cases. You know, so that's why in Saigon they locked down the international airport. They closed. So, but the thing is, life cannot, you know, cannot miss out of suffering and also happiness side. So this is, just look at the screen, you say, this is my spiritual companions, and that make me happy already, you know. So this so you're not alone on this earth. We have friends who try the best to improve themselves. They try the best to touch the happiness within them and around them. We have people with, just a beautiful smile. It's good enough. So that's why they say that, when we feel down, we don't have enough energy, we need to take refuge in the Sangha, just like the boat carrying us. So when we're strong, we can carry others. Yeah. So this, for me, that's for me that right now, I always think of every morning. I think that, oh, I have my brothers and sisters around me, to love. I feel lucky that I still have somebody there next to me to love. So can you imagine that you want to love, but you don't have anybody to love? But somehow we have children and we take care of them, and you have to ask, you expect them to love you back. But can you imagine that they're not there? They grow up, they move away from home, they're not living with you anymore. This means that you don't have anybody to love anymore, right? So this is so that's why when you still have somebody to love, is a great fortune. And this is a great thing that it's happened to us. Just like Rose, she just make a lunch for her children, and this is a great it's a joy. We still have somebody to love. It's just like our Sangha here. We still have somebody to care. Because, it's telling us that we don't isolate ourselves in our small world. Our world is not only in this body. Our world is everywhere now. And our connection is not only in this room. Can you imagine all Asia, from people from all Asia countries, be present right now together? This is a great, it's a I don't know, it's a great opportunity that is for us to be here. So that's how I always nourish myself, my soul, my heart with all the reminders like this. So it means I'm telling you because I'm not different from you. Whatever you have, what kind of different problems you have, I do have too. I have the same problems. I have the same matters. I'm still human. Bottom line, I'm still human. So, and whatever you have, I have. But I'm lucky that I have you. That's all I know. And the last one is, every one of us, even though we not only practice mindfulness, but we maintain our morality, our precept, our training to keep ourselves from trouble, away from trouble. Even if you don't keep your mindfulness training, if you don't practice mindfulness trainings, even 5 mindfulness trainings, like not killing, not stealing, not sexual misconduct, or should not have false speech and using alcohol. If we just practice that, we already free people already. Even though when you practice mindfulness, but you do something wrong, like if you have love affair, how can you sit still anyway, right? Mindfulness, when we practice mindfulness, it means that our heart, our mind, our body has to be transparent with the trainings. We try our best not to do bad deeds and avoid them, and cultivate, try to do the good things to nourish ourselves and our life way of living. So this is, that's why before the Buddhas passed away, everybody said, oh, the sun already, will disappear, and, everybody's cry. But the Buddha said that as long as you keep your precept, the Buddha's still alive with you. Can you imagine that? Can you imagine that 2,600 years before and until now, and we don't have the precept? I don't think Buddhism still survived until now. And there's no monks and nuns, even though that, you practice the mindfulness. But mindfulness is a tool for you to keep your heart and your soul from bad deeds, right? So you get away from troubles. So that's why before the Buddha passed away, he asked the monks and nuns, say, you have to consider the precept as your teachers. Just like us here, when you take your 5 mindfulness training or the 14 mindfulness training, that's your teacher also. So the mindfulness trainings, the wholesome way of living, is a wonderful practice that remains unbroken, that remains harmonious, flawless, refined, and a wonderful practice that has capacity to prevent wrongdoing and to prevent danger. See, when we just practice the training, is keep, you're already a free person, and this and it leads to concentration, peace, and insight, and a long-lasting happiness. So whenever I break a minor and very minor precepts in a bhikkhuni's precept, I have to, before that, I have to kneel down before the altar. I say, I have broke this and this, that. Please forgive me. I know that I won't do that again. That is very minor one. If you break I break a bigger one, I have to stand, or I have to kneel before my sister and say, I broke this, so I want to do beginning and new and promise not to do it again. So I want my heart and my soul, my mind clear before the recitation. Until then, I feel confident when I recite the precept. Otherwise, when you recite the precept, you say, "Oh, I practice, I practice, I practice." What can you feel? How can you feel during recitation? I say, "Oh my God, what have I done?" So I advise everybody before when you recite the trainings with the Sangha or what for yourself. If you broke any of them, we should do beginning and new with ourselves. to know that you're not trying hard enough, and try our best to practice, because we know that if I practice the trainings, my happiness possible there, be possible, and I'm free. I'm a happy people, you know. And just like you walk in the daylight, can you see how wonderful it is that you try your best to keep the trainings? It's flawless in your heart, and that, just that feeling is make, you know, you can see how relaxed your smile and your face. You don't hide anything, because you're not doing any wrong things, you know. They already offer you the happiness right away. So to conclude, so for us, that we should recite the trainings that we took often. It's just a reminders. Of course, that's for you. When you break any of them, you just do beginning anew before the Buddha nature in us. You know, we feel shame that you know, you don't try hard enough. But for me, I will be in trouble. Just like Thầy taught us to understand and help people to transcend the suffering, you perform some miracles. And the Buddha is not only the physical, historical person. The Buddha is in us. The Buddha, you know, it's just an awakened person. Asking ourselves, am I an awakened person? Sometimes I say yes, sometimes I say no. You know, but it depends on how hard, how much we try. You know, it depends on us very much. So that's why for me, not giving up is the first thing that I keep that in mind. If I don't try to overcome my difficulties, what can I do? What else will I do anyway, right? So you know, sometime in life, I say that it's so hard to forgive that person. But the next question, what else will I do if I don't forgive her? You know, and somehow it's just like, oh, I have only one choice, is to forgive. and you know, I for the last week, from my heart, I have some anger, I have some irritation in my heart, and can you imagine that it drained my energy so much? I said, how terrible it is when you have this kind of, you know, substance in our heart. And I didn't like it. So somehow I have one choice for me, is to forgive and to let go, and to clear my heart with kind, you know, whatever I can do, I do it to clear it up. So our teacher is not only the Buddha, can be anyone. It can be any situation. And it can be our self-discipline. Self-discipline is our true teacher. And of course that if the Buddha could do, I can do too. Because he was a human. I am human. Are we? Are we human? Yes. So our teacher can be our self-discipline, our trainings, our precepts. And the last is you are my teacher right now. It's not I am your teacher, but you are my teacher too. So thank you so much. Anything that happened to us in our daily life can be our best teacher. And the path, everybody have learned. And our responsibility is to share, to make the theories that we learn to become a living Dharma in us. That is our responsibility as a practitioner. That is the path that we do it, and we're taking. So, Buddha is not a God. He's in us. Whenever I see your smile, I can see the Buddha. So thank you so much your listening, for your dear listening to me tonight. And I hope that whatever I shared today, it can uplift in your heart. And remember that you are my teacher also. So thank you.
Luong Nghiem. So thank you very much, Suko, for the enlightening talk. Listening to Suko's talk this evening, it also reminded me of my own path to find a teacher. It took me more than 20 years to find this practice and this community. So I treasure this path, this practice, and this community very much. And it's so wonderful that we can all come together. Such a joyful session this evening. So, dear Sangha, may I now invite you, all of you, to hold in your mind one person, or perhaps a group of persons that you know who is now having some struggles in life. May we dedicate this evening session to them or to that person. May he or she have developed the wisdom to transcend its difficulties, and may all beings find true peace and joy. Let us do the dedication of merits now. Practicing the training, practicing the way of awareness, give rise to benefits without limit. We vow to share the fruits with all beings. We vow to offer tribute to parents, teachers, friends, and numerous beings who give guidance and support along the path.